There is a lot going on in Pragmata at any given moment. One minute I'm aboard a slowly rising elevator, fending off waves of robotic enemies who impede my progress upwards. Next, I'm trying to get the highest score across each VR training mission, evoking heavy shades of similar challenges in Metal Gear Solid. Shortly after that, I am carefully hopping across the low-gravity surface of the moon, doing my best to avoid getting tremored by this dude. And to top it all off, I'm adding new tchotchkes to my hub, personalizing the small space that we've come to call home. All this is to say, Capcom's Pragmata is a video game-ass video game, and one that's quickly become one of my favorites of 2026, thanks to its neat puzzle box combat, creative suite of environments, and its ability to tug on my heartstrings in simple, effective ways. And I can even pinpoint the exact moment when I realized that this game was going to be something special. You probably know the gist of Pragmata by now. You're a dude named Hugh who befriends a robotic kid named Diana, and the two of you have to navigate a sprawling lunar base in order to stop a rogue agent from directing its mess towards Earth. Pretty standard stuff until about an hour into that adventure, when you ascend a dark, claustrophobic tunnel only to find yourselves in the middle of a lunar recreation of New York City's Times Square. The bright lights, wide streets, an array of empty cars all feel so alien from anything you've seen up until this point, and honestly anything you'll see afterwards. This Moonhattan is filled with strange Inception-esque geometry, a wealth of well-designed combat encounters, tons of side paths to explore, and neat story bits that give context to the lunar mission. It's also got a bunch of cute nods to other Capcom properties like Ghosts and Goblins, Resi, and what I can only assume is confirmation that deep down is still, in fact, a real video game. This boy can dream. Right off the bat, stepping into this area is framed as a monumental occasion. It's one of a handful of Pragmata's vista moments, for lack of a better term, which are these moments in a game where a specific view stops you in your tracks. It's usually a combination of lighting, framing, sound, and environmental art that all works in unison to create a portrait of awe. Think of leaving the Shrine of Resurrection in Breath of the Wild, or setting eyes on Liurnia of the Lakes in Elden Ring. Hell, even the opening of Pocopia has one. You're quickly given your objective: hack 6 beacons in order to pass through this massive security wall. They're spread across a handful of different districts, each one with their own unique personality and challenges. This chopped-in remixed version of the city is equal parts surprisingly realistic and creepily uncanny. You'll spot bog-standard offices and apartment buildings complete with ventilation ducts and AC units clinging to the sides like barnacles on a ship. But a closer look into their windows shows that they're just like everything else on this base, a facsimile. The claustrophobia of the shopping district feels like you're in one of those artificial recreations of a city inside a Vegas casino, which I guess isn't that far off from what's going on here. This creepy and unnatural feeling is only heightened by the presence of dozens of mannequins, which will occasionally provide a nice jump scare that somehow gets me every single time I circle back through this area. It's also here that we find a note detailing that the same project was working on lunar versions of Seoul, Madrid, and Delhi, but strangely no Milwaukee. Okay, Capcom, you're on thin ice. The back alleys of faux Manhattan are filled with platforming challenges and combat encounters with a growing variety of enemies, including normal humanoids, flying drones, rolling menaces, and these terrifying dudes who kind of look like a cross between a large toddler and the abnormal titans from Attack on Titan. You might even stumble upon one of these mechanical piñatas that you chase down for goodies like a 21st century loot goblin from Golden Axe. It's here that you're really able to kick the tires on the game's combat, which is built around 3 core pillars of constantly surveying the environment for enemies, hazards, and collectibles, cycling through your growing arsenal to choose the right firearm or piece of equipment for the right moment, and hacking enemies in real time. And while at first it felt a bit like trying to rub your stomach and pat your head while reciting the alphabet backwards, I quickly started to speak Pragmata's multitasking language. As you press on deeper, you gain the ability to deconstruct these Luna filament barriers that have stood in your way dozens of times up until now, feeding into Pragmata's light Metroidvania elements. I enjoyed the game's combat and upgrade curve enough that every time I got a new ability, I made a quick sweep through all the prior areas to access any nooks and crannies that were previously off limits. The level culminates in a boss fight against a massive robotic creature who enters the scene by devouring one of the aforementioned large toddlers before turning its attention towards you. The fight is an exciting spectacle that tests your hacking abilities, spatial awareness, and accuracy, providing a great kind of final exam to this truly memorable area. It was throughout this New York City zone that everything about Pragmata started locking in, and my appreciation for it turned into a kind of reverence. The game never outstays its welcome, and your journey across the Lunar space station is constantly taking you through different biomes with distinct visuals, unique challenges, and new wrinkles. It was also around this time that the game's excellent progression loop stepped to the forefront and made it genuinely difficult to put down. Exploration earns you resources that you can use to upgrade any number of things like your weapons, core stats, hacking abilities, and combat modifiers. These allow you to press on further into environments, tackling bigger and stronger enemies, and earn even more resources to once again continue to build up your character. It's a simple cycle, but one that works extremely well, not only because every upgrade feels like it makes a tangible improvement to your performance, but also because you're constantly encouraged to go back to your hub room and just decompress. With Diana, Capcom has seemingly weaponized the ability to pull on our heartstrings. The android is presented as a cute, curious, and precocious kid who finds beauty and wonder in every new discovery. This includes the hidden REM, Read Earth Memories, tucked away throughout levels that you can bring back to your base to use to deck the place out, bringing swing sets, skateboards, and campfires to your once antiseptic hub. I love how the base starts out white and Spartan, but slowly has life added to it thanks to the progress you make in the main game. A highlight of the area is the growing roster of VR training missions that push your skills to the limit, give out some very useful rewards, and feel ripped straight from the original Metal Gear Solid. But zooming out, one of the biggest miracles surrounding Pragmata isn't that it's good, which it is, but rather that it even released at all in the first place. This game was originally shown off in the old days of June 2020 alongside the reveal of the PS5 itself before going radio silent for several years. And wouldn't you know it, that initial trailer is set in the same New York City environment, meaning that this section has been a part of Capcom's plan from the jump. I mean, hell, the RE engine, which has powered pretty much every Capcom game over the past decade, Modern Resi, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, it's short for the Reach for the Moon engine, with its logo being quite similar to some of the game's iconography. Pragmata feels like a game from a bygone era, and I mean that as a compliment. It has big late 90s, early aughts Capcom energy, stuff like Mega Man Legends, Beautiful Joe, and Piano 3. I'd go as far as saying that Pragmata would fit right at home alongside the Capcom 5, and that's about the highest praise I can give a game. It also joins the growing roster of modern games that seem to exist in a kind of cryostasis, removed from the influence of industry trends and whims of the modern era. Over the past few years, I'd populate this list with titles like Hi-Fi Rush, Wanted Dead, Kunitsugami, Slitterhead, and this year's Romeo is a Dead Man. Video games that feel like they were born from a different generation. Between Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata, Capcom is kicking off 2026 on an absolute heater. And while its zombie epic has garnered way more sales and louder conversations, I haven't been able to tear myself away from Pragmata, and I have a feeling I won't be the only one. I mean, how else are we going to unlock the super secret ending that reveals that the game is actually a stealth Mega Man reboot, huh?